There's the cat. I just thought I'd show you her. Okay, oh, so I have my feet on the rug and I push the rug, which of course has the tripod on. So what am I here for? Oh yeah, I am here to test for the first time 2 brand new Guerlains, and I'm really excited to try them. Lovely Lizzie, Rose and Jones. She has the very best YouTube and Instagram. Honestly, one of my favorite YouTube reviewers to watch. She doesn't really class herself as an influencer, or probably not even a reviewer, but the way that she describes fragrances, she just has a knack for giving you a mood and a feeling, not just the usual notes, picking out the notes, all of that. And she has kindly sent me a whole load of samples, really exciting samples, but I thought I would do those in a live stream, except for the 2 Guerlains. I'm just getting ready to pop these on my skin and give you some first impressions. So you would have read the title of the video and know that one of them is Neroli Plein Sud. So that's an official sample here, and that's going to be, I would imagine, the lighter one. So let's pop that out of its box. I think it says it, yeah, it tells you what it is on the actual sample as well. I always find that handy because sometimes you lose the little box or the cover or the whatever the sample's kept in, and if the sample doesn't have the name on it, then you will never remember what it is. So Guerlain Neroli Plein Sud is from their L'art et la Matiere line. We do 3 generous sprays here. I don't know the official notes. All I know, of course, is it's a neroli fragrance because it has neroli in the title. And I can instantly smell quite a soapy neroli scent, reminding me of Tom Ford's Neroli Portofino. And also making me think a little bit of, what's that Italian brand? Acqua di Parma, Colonia Intensa, I think it's that one. Those cologne, the cologne line, and it's the strongest one from the cologne line. It's got that quite harsh soapiness about it, which I actually enjoy, but it's very soapy, very, very clean. It definitely smells, it's not full on Neroli Portofino anymore. So the opening reminded me of Neroli Portofino. It's definitely changed already. It's very soapy, but there's some other nuances coming through. So definitely a blend of citruses, definitely that neroli. A little bit green, but not as green as some neroli can be. Neroli can smell like stinging nettles to me. I don't know if anyone else gets that. When I smell neroli essential oil, it can smell like stinging nettles. But here I would say it's quite a dense, soapy citrus instead of a zesty, sparkling citrus. So this is a little smoother, thicker, soapier mix of citruses, probably something like petitgrain as well. So the leaves and twigs in there, giving it a more green and woody feel. I feel like it's probably going to go clean musky. It doesn't smell particularly musky right now, but I just feel like that's the direction it's going to go in. I don't know if it smells floral. There might be a little hint of a floral element in here. Obviously, neroli itself is a floral, but I'm wondering if there's another white floral or a touch of rose or even both. But the absolute main thing that I'm getting right now is a soapy citrus cologne style fragrance, but a heavy and smooth and rounded soapy citrus cologne. Definitely not like the Guerlain's original cologne. It's nothing like that. It's nothing like it's not like the standard colognes that are very light and fresh. I feel like there's a darker woody note coming through, maybe even a touch of patchouli or something like that. I think most people are going to find this masculine because there's nothing really sweet going on in here. I definitely don't get anything like amber, vanilla, sugar, anything like that. It's a reassuring, mature male scent to me. A man who's perhaps over 40, he's a dad, he's responsible, he's got a good job, and he's a bit hot. Okay, I'm indulging in a fantasy now. Think George Clooney looks, crisp white shirt, off to the office, kisses his wife, waves off his children. And this is a scent trail he leaves behind him. It's citrus, woody, soapy, clean, reassuring. This isn't a hot male that goes and cheats. He's not having an affair with his secretary, hopefully not. I've already got feelings about this guy now. But it's that reassuring, older gentleman kind of scent. So probably not one I would see myself wearing, but I think it's a nice fragrance if that is the sort of style that you like. But obviously it's quite high up in the price bracket. L'art et la Matiere fragrances are very expensive, and I do personally think at this point it's no better than the Acqua di Parma line of colognes. So I personally would go for an Acqua di Parma at this point over this, but I do think it's a sexy man perfume. So that was Neroli Plein Sud. And now we're going to try, this one's called Feve Gourmand. It's only just been released this year as well. So I think both of these have only come out this year. Correct me if I'm wrong, I haven't checked my facts. It's just what I'm thinking I've noticed. So Feve Gourmand, all I know about this is the word Feve means tonka. So it's going to be a tonka fragrance. Let's move my watch down a little bit. So it's going to be a tonka fragrance. Some people are saying it's similar to Gourmand Coquin. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but I like to say it like that. Coca. Coca. I don't want to say cocaine. I don't think that's correct either. So I think Gourmand Coquin has been discontinued. People are also saying that it could be a replacement for Feve, is it Feve Delicious or Tonka Imperial? One of those. One's Guerlain, one's Dior, and I always mix them up, so forgive me for that. We will see what we have here. Now, Lizzie said that she was really surprised at how light and airy this was. So we'll see. That does, in the air, that reminds me of Gourmand Coquin. I did have a decant of Gourmand Coquin. Cancun. But when I looked at it, it had evaporated out and there was only a tiny little bit left. And I sent that tiny little bit off to Lizzie so she could compare the two. But I do think that what I sent Lizzie is probably thicker and more condensed because I think the alcohol had evaporated from it. So it's probably not a great comparison anyway. But this does remind me of that decant when it hadn't evaporated. I would say it's probably not identical. This is really nice. It's a chocolate rose, I would say. It's very gourmand. It's got the word gourmand in the title. Absolutely is gourmand. I don't feel like it's really heavy on the tonka. It's more chocolatey to me, like Gourmand Coquin is. And it smells like rose and chocolate. If you like a gourmand, but you find them too thick and heavy and sweet, you might like this because as Lizzie said, it's actually got a lightness to it. It's got an airiness to it, even though it is quite sweet, and it definitely does have a richness as well. I'd say it almost smells like a cherry or boozy, slightly boozy cherry. But it might be, it's a fruity rose. It's some sort of fruit. So I don't know the notes. Maybe I'll put them there or something. It feels like a fruity rose mixing in with a powdery chocolate and a little hint of rum. Maybe, yeah, maybe strawberry, maybe cherry, but you know what I mean? Quite a sweet pink fruit. Not anything exotic, not anything tart. Definitely a cherry or a raspberry or a strawberry, that sort of thing. It's actually really nice, but very much similar to Gourmand Coquin. Probably it is just a reformulation of Gourmand Coquin. It's sort of like a dark, slightly bitter chocolate coming through now, maybe like a dark cocoa powder effect coming through. It's really nice. For me, it's a nighttime fragrance or a autumn winter kind of perfume, comforting, as you know, it is a gourmand. I don't know about the performance, of course, but on first impressions, I think it's really nice. And I think if you like Gourmand Coquin, then you're going to like Feve Gourmand. I feel like there's something non-savoury mixing in to stop it being too sweet. Like, I'm not 100% sure, but something like a vetiver or something that's slightly woody and green. Something just very, very small amount mixing in with those sweeter notes that seem to be keeping it grounded and not too sweet. So yeah, I think we'll leave it there. Hello, it's Editing Claire here. I'm just editing the video. I looked up the notes and the details, and actually it's nothing to do with tonka. I think Feve means beans. So usually when Feve is in perfume titles, I think it's normally tonka, but on this occasion they're referring to the cocoa bean, which of course is why it smells chocolatey. So I thought I'd better add that in. It's just a final update on Feve Gourmand. Sorry for the quality, but it's dark and I can't be bothered to go back out to the kitchen where the light is. The Feve Gourmand now is at 9 hours old and I can still smell it, but it is quite, I wouldn't say it's exactly a skin scent. I can smell it from that far away. Obviously there's not a lot on my wrist, so I think the performance is absolutely fine. It is not beast mode. When I was in the car, it was the Neroli Plein Sud that took over and I wasn't really catching whiffs of it from my wrist. But I wouldn't expect to. That would, because I've just got my hands on the steering wheel. It's not like that I'm moving them around right in front of my face. So in terms of the performance, it's definitely lighter than the Neroli Plein Sud, but I actually prefer it. I prefer the scent profile, I prefer how it smells, and I actually like the performance. I wouldn't want this sort of quite sweet fragrance to be a huge projector. It's a come hither fragrance in my opinion, and much better worn as it does, quite lightly. So people that get to give you a hug, people that get to get close to you, get this delicious, cozy rose, chocolate, powder, clean musky scent. And that's really all it is. It's quite simplistic to me. I did get a touch of booze, but it's very subtle, the booze. And I wouldn't say there's anything challenging here if you do like a sort of chocolatey fragrance, but it isn't super rich and too sickly. It feels really nicely balanced. It's soft on my skin. It definitely has this muskiness, which I really enjoy. And yeah, I love that it's not too rich and not too sweet. Beautifully balanced. If you like a gourmand that's not too full-on gourmand, then I think it's worth checking out. I probably wouldn't buy it again, just because I'm so selective about what I buy these days. But if this is a kind of fragrance, if I was lucky enough to be gifted it, I would be very happy and it would be getting a regular wearing from me. It's the sort of thing I would choose for a date night, and as I said earlier, more of a cozy sort of situations, probably more a fall, is that a fall? I'm turning into an American now. More of an autumn and a winter kind of fragrance. But, you know, I don't really adhere too strictly to that kind of stuff, but that's how it feels to me. So yeah, I like that one. I'll quickly go back to the other one. Yeah, that has, it's taken on a new, it's gone down a new road, a more green road. Kind of fresh green scent. Doesn't smell like oak moss, like if you know what real oak moss smells like when it's used in perfume, has a very distinctive smell. This smells like what you imagine oak, like moss on a tree might smell like. It's, yeah, it's fairly green, muted though, not too sharp. But yeah, it does sort of make me think about forests. It still has some of that soapiness, but the soapiness it's changed. It's maybe a little sharper and less rounded and less reassuring. So it started off with this reassuring feeling, this older, mature gentleman. I'd say it's sharper. It's almost like the mature gentleman is aging backwards. Now he's just in his 30s and he's trying to impress a little bit. He's got his cologne this time it's more green and it's maybe a little more flashy. It's not so soapy. It's got a vintage feel though. It feels a bit old school. It doesn't feel like a modern release. This is something that those vintage lovers I think will enjoy. Almost, if you like Kuros and those kind of things. Not that it's got a really strong animalic feel, but there is something, I feel like there's something that's just a hint of an animalic, like just a little whisper of piss. Yeah, just, it's gone slightly dangerous. Only slightly though. It's just not as reassuring as it was now. And I do feel like it is getting a muskiness, like somewhere between clean and dirty. So it definitely doesn't feel like a specific civet or castoreum, but it wouldn't surprise me if there was a tiny amount of a synthetic animalic note in there, just taking it now in a more edgy direction. But edgy, vintage, old school, not very modern. I don't see anyone under 30 wearing this unless they really are sort of frag head vintage hunters. It's not going to please the 1 million crowd, the Aventus crowd. It's far too old school. So yeah, for me personally, I won't wear it. I wouldn't say I don't like it. I don't dislike it. Don't dislike it. What does that mean? That's an oxymoron, is it? I don't dislike it means I do dislike it. No, that's God help. My head needs fixing. I am neutral on it. If someone wore this on a date with me, I would think it smelled pretty good. Like I would be impressed that they were wearing something quite classy, but it's not a scent that I'm drawn to. But I wouldn't be not drawn to someone just because they're wearing it, if that makes any sense. I hope that does. Hello, so I've come out for a walk. I was just obviously driving here and I have an update on that one, which is the Neroli Plein Sud. In the car, it was really projecting and it was taking over everything else. Even though my hand is on the steering wheel and not moving very much, the fragrances really was kind of like filling up the car, and I only had, you know, a few sprays on my wrist, and it's still similar in smell to how I last described it, but I'd say it's a little powdery and dry now, and it's actually quite dry, so I find that a little bit annoying. I did find it a bit obnoxious. It's not a big, like, thick and heavy fragrance, but it is somehow still obnoxious. So it's gone down in my estimations. I have a feeling it's going to stay quite linear now. And I'm suspecting there's quite a lot of aroma chemicals in here that are just making it so trajectory, so strong. And it's just not my cup of tea, really. So I thought I would just add that. I'm back again. I just wanted to add, it's now 9 hours later. I've looked up the notes of Neroli Plein Sud. I would have already posted them, oh, you know what I mean, written them on the screen, but I wasn't aware of them when I was wearing it. And I see that there's vetiver and sandalwood in the dry down, and the top notes are quite a list of spices. I can't remember what they are exactly now. Honestly, this is still going quite strong, but I do feel like it smells quite synthetic, and I think that will explain why it's hanging on so strong and why it was really projecting so much earlier. Now it's a musky, woody, slightly green hum. It's perfectly fine now, and I do think there is a hint of spice in there. I just didn't pick up on it, but now I know, you know, obviously it's in my head now, and I can kind of tell that there's a bit of spiciness to it. But ultimately, it feels quite, obviously I'm not a perfumer, but it feels a bit cheap. It doesn't feel like, I don't really smell too much natural elements with it. It feels, the way it behaves, it just feels a little bit cheap, aromachemistically. And it's nothing special. I would much rather wear an Acqua di Parma, all those colognes. The one I compared it to in the opening, that's really soapy opening, was the Essenza. I said Intensa, but I meant Essenza. And I would say that is much better fragrance if that's the kind of thing you're looking for. A classy, soapy, cologne style fragrance that actually lasts really well and has you feeling fresh and clean and well groomed all day long. Plus, I feel like Colonia Essenza leans more unisex, whereas this does feel more masculine. So my money would be on Acqua di Parma. This is honestly just doesn't smell that good to me. Let me know if you have a different opinion. I always love to hear, because obviously I don't know for a fact whether this is made of cheap ingredients or aroma chemicals, but I just suspect that because of the way it's behaving. So if you have experienced this fragrance, let me know whether you really enjoy it or whether you agree with me or have you an entirely different opinion altogether. That would be fab. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.